Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This episode is purposefully meant for teachers who intend to come to Dubai or to come and work in any part of the UAE. So if you stopped by and you're a teacher, thank you so much. Stay tuned until the end. If you're not a teacher and you know someone who is a teacher and is likely to benefit from this video, just click the share button before we continue with the vlog. Now, with me are 21 things that anyone needs to know, any teacher needs to know before they consider moving to Dubai to start their teaching career there. I have my notebook here. Go straight away into the first point. Early starts. Schools in Dubai generally start very early because the school day also ends a little bit early. Okay, so most of the schools start at 7:45, like the school where I am right now. The school day will start at 7:45 and end around 3 p.m. So if you're not an early morning person, stay back wherever you are. Stay back right where you are. It's across the board, like throughout the UAE. And then there is an exception on Friday where we end the day early as 12 p.m. Yeah, kids in the United Arab Emirates, most of the students who I have interacted with are very genuine, kind, and loving. They're well spoken, and it's like they're 21st century kids, so they can be so hard to deal with. And I think that happens, like, I don't know, it's just a worldwide menace because I've seen on, like, all over the internet similar complaints. So you just need to equip yourself with, behavior management skills. 21st century behavior management skills. I'm not talking about those old school sorts of punishments that we used to receive back then. Other thing, kids here carry their devices to school. Schools incorporate technology into the learning. So most of the times you'll notice that kids either have their laptops in school or their tablets in school. And I mean, it's a good thing because looking to nurture, independent learners, students who are curious. Still, regarding the students, now schools all over the UAE are so high on safeguarding and welfare of the students. And that means trainings will be offered throughout the academic year, or it could be once depending on which school, but mandatory trainings are offered to teachers. So if you've never had, or if you're not familiar with kids safeguarding or welfare, that's something you need to equip yourself with. In fact, for the few interviews that I have attended, they usually ask about safeguarding. They ask you if you know anything to do with child safeguarding in the school, and the country has rules and that regulate children's safety while in school. So you need to know that as well. That leads me to my next point. I'm here to let you know that the job market is so competitive that we got professional, like highly qualified professionals from all over the world. Some schools have preference to a certain type of teachers, like you should be speaking English in a certain type of way, could be native speakers. Some other schools will ask for IELTS. So that's just making the competition more stiff. So as a teacher, you want to be abreast in case you land that one particular interview, you nail it. Don't leave any tables unturned. Okay, with your qualifications and a belief in yourself, get into the job market and do your thing. For the most part, we are always looking for growth opportunities. And one thing I want to assure you about some of the schools that we have here in the UAE, I'm giving reference to my school, and I want to believe that most of the schools are like that because the system is almost the same. Like for a school which is offering the British curriculum, you realize we have like FS1 all the way to year 13. So looking at that, there are leadership opportunities or pastoral roles like head of years. You can be head of FS1, head of FS2. Imagine all those roles from FS1 all the way up. Or we have KS1 all the way to KS5. So if you are into growth opportunities or you want to grow your role, grow your career towards the pastoral side, all of those are available roles, or rather growth opportunities for you as a teacher. So if you're open to that, welcome. As you think about being hired in the UAE, or I think this applies to any other country, most of the time you realize that people travel without attesting their documents from their native countries. Now, attest your documents early enough. Sometimes the process of attestation, for instance, for my country, Kenya, for teachers, I mean, mine took like a week to get attested, but because the demand is too high and, most people are trying to leave the country, and sometimes the government services can be so slow. So you just want to attest your documents as early or immediately you think about traveling outside the country, just get your documents attested and ready. Sometimes your school can help you to attest. There's an amount of money that you pay. Now, once you attest it back in your country, and then now you travel to the UAE. Now, on that note as well, one thing which is mandatory, compulsory, your police clearance from your own country, you really need that. So make sure you have it ready before you travel. Because when I traveled here, my police clearance had expired. So, the whole process comes with some extra cost, which I wouldn't like want anyone to go through unless you're ready for it. So the bottom line is get your police clearance ready and get your certificates attested. Now, if you're traveling from Kenya, do this. Just make sure you attest even your transcripts, because in our final, bachelor's degree certificate, it's not indicated that you did this and this subject. So transcripts, your degree certificate, your master's, your PhD, all of that. Right when you're ready to travel, this is the good news. If your school is hiring you from your country, your school will cater for literally everything from like all your travel expenses, from flight to visa and all of that. And once you land in the country, you'll get accommodation. Now, accommodation comes in two parts. The school will choose to give you like a house, okay? Depends. Could be what's it called? It could be a studio room, single, or a one bedroom. I don't know, depending just on the arrangement. Or the school can decide to give you a certain amount of money. There is a cap to that, and then you decide where you want to stay. If whatever you choose is higher than the allowance the school is offering you, then it means you have to chip in and cater for it. Or if you choose something way cheaper than the house allowance, then it means you get to pocket some money from once you start going to work. You don't have to worry about transport. Yeah, at least for most schools. Terms to using the school bus depend from one school to another. You might be asked to pay, you might get free transport, but either way, they're making your life easy, especially if you're new to the town, because you might want to do your driving and buy your own car, which is very, very possible, but it will take you some time. Okay, getting a driving license, you need some time to go for your classes. In the meantime, I'm sure you need transportation to and from school every single day. That's guaranteed. Most schools here offer transportation, the same bus that students use. You can board it anytime, any day. Okay, you're allowed to do appropriate formal wears. Okay, and yeah, because we are basically live in an Islamic country, so you have to uphold, you have to respect the Islamic values. Okay, piercings are allowed. You can be allowed to wear earrings like mine. Now, I remember the last time I wore these earrings to class, and my students were so fascinated. And in fact, one of them asked me, like, Miss, what will happen if I decide to put my, like, something like this? If I decide to put my hand inside the earring, what would happen? Anyway, the point is, earrings are allowed. You have to be careful because it could be a safeguarding concern. So if you're a lover of piercings, but then again, at the same time, tattoos. I mean, tattoos are not allowed, so you have to cover, if you have any tattoos in your body, you have to cover that. Basically, decency, just the basic. So the workload, let me talk about the workload. Once you're hired, you're well dressed, you're in school, the workload is something else. I could say the workload is overwhelming. Sometimes you find yourself having quite a lot of classes, okay? And the classes are back to back. So it feels like some kind of pressure, which you need to know or learn how you're going to manage them. Now it's a bit different. Like if I give an example of my country, like back in Kenya, if you have like the first two lessons maybe in the morning, you might find yourself being free for like three consecutive lessons. It doesn't happen like that here for the most time. So the classes are back to back, and the reason I already told you earlier on, the day ends early, so system has reduced the number of breaks to fit in all the classes. Okay, yeah, so get ready for that. Little bit of pressure, and because of that you will have a lot of, there's extra work depending on whichever school that you're working with. So there's marking of books. So assuming you have like 10 different classes, marking books, giving feedback, among other things, marking papers and all of that work you have to do. So actually that's why most of the time, like even if you go home as early as if you're home by 3 p.m., maybe you find yourself still working until 6 p.m. So, yeah, I've had people say that, oh, when you're working in Dubai, the school day ends early. Yes, it ends early, but you still have a lot of work to complete. There are a lot more extra things that you have to take part in. And that's also, it depends from one school to another. Also, it depends if you have like a role, there's duty, break duty, there's lunch duty, there's supervising students who are doing this, who are doing that. So there's quite a lot that can make you feel pressured. So you need to get ready for that, and just find your own ways of relaxing, because sometimes, trust you me, it can be so overwhelming. Now I remember the first school I was teaching at, I was hired. Within 3 weeks, I was literally very sick. I didn't go to work for like a whole week. I think I was new to the system, and no one had prepared me for this. In the UAE, we have additional subjects, and these additional subjects, most of them, they fall onto the humanities teachers. Anyone can teach them. We have subjects like moral education, moral studies. Yeah, okay, that's like moral education and social studies combined. Okay, some schools teach social studies separately, others combine it as MACS, but the idea is subject is unique to UAE. Then we have another one called PSHE. It's an equivalent, or not an equivalent, but it's taught at this to students who are non-Islamic. Okay, they will take PSHE. Okay, yeah, and I told you most of the time that those subjects, they fall under humanities teachers, or if you're a homeroom teacher, it can fall on you. And that's an additional subject which are specific to UA. At some point, they will be on demand, and you, as a teacher who is experienced in teaching that subject, you can be of high value. So whichever school you land, if you get a chance to teach MSCS or PSHE or travel or whatever subject that is new to you, nail it. That's typically just one of the ways you can grow yourself as a teacher. Okay. On that note, I'm here to also let you know that some of the content are censored in the UAE. Like there's some things you cannot teach, you cannot mention, like you cannot even and some of these subjects which are censored, you cannot teach reproduction. It's haram, it's illegal. Some countries you cannot mention them in the I mean, whether they're in the textbook or not, you can't mention them to the students. You can't teach it. So getting cultured into a certain school, you'll get to know, but others are dynamic. Like as things keep changing, the changes also come about. So you have to stay woke and look at, what are some of the things which are changing in the field of education, especially with regards to education in the UAE. And violating that can result into, something big. So you want to stay woke, and the cultural diversity in the UAE is something which is really, really beautiful, and it opens you up to learning lots of culture, right from the students you interact with to the teachers to everyone else around you. So as a teacher, you need to be ready to embrace that cultural diversity, be culturally sensitive. Okay, so yeah, and on that note, because the students are coming from different backgrounds, you realize that some of them, or yeah, most of them have English as their second language. So schools usually cater for that. Like there is a specific department which is, tasked with supporting students to develop their speed, develop their English, because it's not their first language. Now, there's what we call SEND, and it's a big deal here in the UAE. Basically, SEND meaning special education needs and disabilities. So the schools of the UAE are so high in making sure that there is inclusivity in the whole process. And when I say inclusivity, I mean like all students are included. There is no seclusion. Like I don't know if you understand. Like I'll give an example. Back home in my country, usually we have special schools for special kids. So there is a school for autistic students. There's a school for physically disabled. There's a school for the deaf and all that. So here in the UAE, we have all of the students in one class. So as a teacher, you have to be smart. You have to be wise. You have to find your own ways of including all the students in your lesson during the 40-minute lesson or the 50-minute lesson to make sure that they feel included. Some teachers are new to this system. What usually happens, schools intentionally offer training regarding inclusion, how you can take care of all the students in the class without them feeling separated from the rest of the class. One issues that you will find as a teacher are, behavioral issues. You might find ADHD, autism, a bit of physical disability. I haven't seen quite a lot of students with that, but behavioral issues, very common. ADHD, very common. Autism, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to learn different ways in which you will cater for the students' needs within. One more thing, in the UAE, we have yearly inspections of schools, and during this moment, it's a tough time for teachers because the results of the inspection, to a larger extent, rely on the efforts of the teacher. So during that moment, there's a lot of paperwork that goes on, a lot of pressure on the teachers. So you have to be prepared for that when you're coming to Dubai. And the whole idea of doing this inspection is to ensure that every school is up to standard, okay? And last but not least, there are lots of organizational and structural changes that occur randomly every other time. And all of this will need you to be flexible and adapt to changes. For example, like right now, we're in the Ramadan period. Of course, the school calendar will change, okay? And some other times, like things just happen randomly, or maybe it's a rainy day, the calendar might just change. The students might stay home and you might be asked to do your lessons online. So there are quite a lot of organizational and structure, and you as a teacher will be expected to be flexible. If anyways, it was nice having all of you on my channel. That marks the end of my video today. If you stayed until this end, thank you so much. Please don't hesitate to click the share button, like, leave a positive comment, and I'll see you in my next video. For now, it's a wrap and bye.